Rumbles, those are, and that comes from an LP which one or two people have written to me about, in fact, and have approached at least one record shop to my certain knowledge about, too. The LP is called Jump to Confusion, and that was Long and Lonesome Road, and it's on AFM Records from Rochester, New York. And after Long and Lonesome Road, just plain old Lonesome Road. Not one of his very best, it has to be said, but any twangy guitar is better than none. I'm sure you'll agree with me on that. That's Duane Eddy and Lonesome Road. And you've probably already seen, or got even, the double EP from, Maximum Rock and Roll. I don't know what came over me. Well, I do. Maximum Rock and Roll presents 12 San Francisco Bay Area bands. Turn it around. It's a double 7-inch, as I say, the Gilman Street Project double 7-inch compilation, it says, and features, well, lots of bands that you may or may not have heard of. No use for a name. Corrupted Morals, Sweet Baby Jesus, Crimpshine, Sticky, Nasal Sex. Isocracy I was particularly interested to see because they got a fairly good write-up in a recent edition of Maximum Rock and Roll, and I've written off to them for a copy of their cassette, but haven't received a copy of it, which is fair enough. Sewer Trout, who I've read about a bit as well, and the best track on there, in fact, is a track by some people called the Yeasty Girls, which is hilariously funny. It's only 35 seconds long, but it contains a reference to parts of the body, and my goodness me, we certainly don't want that sort of thing on the radio. Oh dear me, no. So the track I'm going to play you is the Isocracy track, which is called XBHR, and I'm not quite sure what that means, but I'm sure that some of the more erudite amongst you can write in and tell me. And it starts off with a rather silly count.
People around the world are starting
That's Isocracy from the 7-inch double EP from Maximum Rock and Roll, and that's called XBHR. If you do know what it means, write in and tell me, because I'm curious to know. And I've had a card, or actually a back of an envelope, to be more honest, from Bastard Kestrel to tell me that they play at Dingwalls in London on Tuesday the 2nd of February, and not Tuesday the 26th, as advertised in the week's music papers. And it says that their Core Trance EP is almost sold out, 500 copies in 2 weeks. Thanks for playing it last Monday. Dare you play it again? Well, curiously enough, I actually had it programmed to play anyway. Curious thing, that's Bastard Kestrel, one of 3 tracks on a 7-inch EP. Throat Grip is the title of it, and as I said in their letter, almost all 500 of them sold already. From Big comes from, oh, I can do it again. This comes from Big Deal, works every time.
And I feel this can't go on. Suddenly, what's deep inside?
From Louisville, Kentucky, that's Big Deal, and that's one of, let's see, 7 tracks on a 7-inch EP on Self-Destruct Records, also of Louisville, Kentucky. That's called Works Every Time. And a letter here making a serious point, actually, in a slightly tongue-in-cheek fashion, from Simon Dunsworth, I think, of St John's College, Cambridge, saying, Dear Dr. Rhythm. I like that, actually. I used to have a stamp, you know, that just said, actually, you spelt rhythm wrong. Great. That'll teach him. Smart Alec. And just notice that. There's an H after the R. Between the R and the Y, there should be another H. Am I right? That is right, isn't it? Yes, it is. Anyway, it says, Dear Dr. Rhythm. I used to have a stamp that said, John Dr. Rhythm Peel. Gone now, of course. Anyway, it says, I think you need to seriously reevaluate your approach to pronunciation because, let's face facts, people are beginning to notice this I just ate 8 sheets of blotting paper tactic was very impressive when you only applied it to a couple of Welsh language bands, but this blanket cleft palate approach to any remotely foreign record just isn't up to the high intellectual standards we expect from Britain's #1 music brain. Well, actually, you're quite right in a sense, Simon, but the problem is, I'm faced, on occasion, with thinking to myself, well, actually, rather than risk the embarrassment of getting all this terribly wrong, I'll not play it. But then that doesn't seem to be really the right attitude at all. So I go ahead and play it, and I apologise for my inability to speak foreign languages. And there is, as people point out, a pronunciation unit here at the BBC to whom I could turn for guidance, but of course they all go home before I get in here, so I can't really turn to them either. So I apologise for all of the things that I do mispronounce, but I mean, you know, as long as I play the things, that's the main, give you a kind of inkling or an indication of how it should be pronounced. That would seem to me to be about as well as I can do it, I'm afraid. From TV Smith's Cheap, this is Buried by the Machine. Fades in and fades out. Some of the more sensitive amongst you might imagine this to refer somehow to Liverpool's performances this season, but I think probably not. That's Cheap, the last from them, Buried by the Machine, the title of it, and from Slab from their current LP, and incidentally they'll be doing a new session for us shortly, although tomorrow night's sessions come from Ut and Tallulah Gosh. This is Gutter Busting.
Get back in your houses, get back in your houses, I will not call them homes. Get back in your houses, get back in your houses, I will not call them homes. Get back in those houses and kick down your front doors and we'll take what we'll like. Get back in your houses, stay in those houses, I will take what we'll like. Stop us, no one can stop us, they long to our own. No one can stop us, no one can stop us, they long to our own. No one can hate us, no one can hate us, we're just clean the streets. No one can hate us, no one can hate us, we're just clean the streets. God bless us even, God bless us even, well thanks for this. God bless us even, God bless us even, well thanks for this. God bless us even, God bless us even, well thanks for this. God bless us even, God bless us even, well thanks for this.
From the LP Dissension, that's Slab and Gutter Busting, an LP that I keep coming back to, actually. When I first did it, I thought, it's all right, but one of those ones that I take it out of the box and think, well, I've played enough from that, and then it goes back in again. Interesting, fascinating. Jonah Moyo. And we started the programme with something from Australia, and I'm not going to end it with something from Australia, but not far off. This is from a band called Mass Appeal on Waterfront Records, Fun Again.
We'll
what a frenzied night it's been. That's Mass Appeal from Australia. Fun Again is the title of it. A dull night on the Smithy phone. They must say either people being hilariously funny or hanging up on our answer the phone. Life's like that, though, isn't it? Do you find that? Right, do you want me to put my pullover back on again?
Oh, yes.
This is your Renegade Soundwave and the end of tonight's programme as well, in which you heard a session from TV Smith's Cheap. Tomorrow night, Tallulah Gosh and that, and more intriguing records. Coming up shortly, the Midnight News Summary. Thanks very much for listening. Good night.
Radio 2.
The news at midnight. This is John Marsh. Mrs. Thatcher says the government is reviewing all aspects of the health service. 6 people, including a young girl, have been injured in a terrorist attack on a security patrol in West Belfast. Shell is withdrawing a brand of its petrol. The Duke and Duchess of York are expecting a baby. The Prime Minister has confirmed that the government is conducting its own wide-ranging review of the way the National Health Service is financed. In an interview on the BBC television programme Panorama, she also defended the government's position on taxation, defence and national security. Here's our political correspondent, Peter Hill.
A Royal Commission on Health might take far too long, said the Prime Minister, up to 3 years. So government ministers and officials were themselves looking carefully at why the health service, even with increased resources, was not giving people what they wanted or expected. That review would look at such things as private medicine and tax relief on health insurance. It was, she said,
Now, Casey Jones was a good engineer. He told his fireman not to have no fear. All I want's a little water and coal. Peep out the cab and see the drivers roll. See the drivers roll, see the drivers roll. Peep out the cab and see the drivers roll. Sunday morning begins to rain. Round the curve he spied a passenger train. He told his fireman, you better jump. Case those 2 locomotives is bound to bump. Bound to bump, bound to bump. Case those 2 locomotives is bound to bump. Well, you should have been there to see the sight. Screaming and yelling, colored and white. Some was crippled and some was lame, but the 6-wheel driver had to bear the blame. Ain't it a pity, ain't it a shame? The 6-wheel driver had to bear the blame. Hurry up, engine, hurry up, train. Casey's going to ride the road again. Swift as lightning, smooth as glass. Fella, take your hat off when the train go past. When the train go past, when the train go past. Fella, take your hat off when the train go past.
To the sound of the underground. I jack to the sound of the underground. The underground. I jack to the sound of the underground. I jack to the sound of the underground. I jack to the sound of the underground. Chicago jacks to the underground. DC jacks to the underground. New York jacks to the underground. New Jersey jacks to the underground. London jacks to the underground. Frankfurt jacks to the underground. LA jacks to the underground. Moscow jacks to the underground. Detroit jacks to the underground. Paris jacks to the underground. Miami jacks to the underground. Philly jacks to the underground. Houston jacks to the underground. I jack to the sound of the underground. The west side jacks to the underground. The south side jacks to the underground. The north side jacks to the underground. The east side jacks to the underground. I jack to the sound of the underground. The underground. The underground. I jack to the sound of the underground. The underground. I jack to the sound of the underground. The underground. The sound of the underground. I jack to the sound of the underground. The underground. The underground. I jack to the sound of the underground. I jack to the sound of the underground. The underground. I jack to the sound of the underground.
Oh, do you know, sorry about that. From the LP Jackmaster Volume 2, that was Fast Eddie Smith and Jack to the Sound. Before that, Ken Collier's Skiffle Group from 1954 and Casey Jones on Lake Records. And Fast Eddie Smith, and when I heard that, it put me in mind of an earlier Eddie Smith who was, kind of normal speeded, the normal aspirated Eddie Smith with the Hornets. And this was a record from, I'm not quite sure what year, but again, sometime in the 1950s, an instrumental called Upturn. Quite an early record, Eddie Smith with the Hornets, and that's Upturn. And it was on Top Rank Records, so those of you who are, you know, of some seniority will remember Top Rank Records, I don't doubt. Originally on REL Records in America. The release date, it says recording first published 1960, so I was wrong. I thought it was about 57, 58. From Stars of Heaven, In Session, Unfinished Dreaming. Go. Stars of Heaven In Session, that's the last one from them tonight, and Unfinished Dreaming is the title of it. Don't forget, on Monday night, the Wolfhounds and Bolt Thrower, not to be missed, I think. And from Don Carlos, Dice Cup.
Every time I heard the sound of the dice go, I remember how I've lost in an unfair game. I just come with a loaded dice, and we started to play. And every show it was a nick. Whoa, 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 yes. And every nick. Yes, I double six. Oh, me said, bar the dice now start. Whoa, 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 yes. Oh, me said, bar the dice now start. Whoa, yeah. Take up the cup and show the dice. I make it roll, let me see what it a play. Cause if it play the same double six, then I know it's a handshake. Bar the dice now start. Whoa, 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 yes. Oh, me say bar the dice now start. Whoa, yes. I've made an objection, but the host didn't have no inquiry. Then I know that the house was in favor of the player. Bar the dice now start. Whoa, 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 yes. Oh, me say bar every lick in it. It's a double six. Oh, me said, bar the dice now start. Whoa, 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 yeah. Oh, me said, bar the dice now start. Whoa, yeah. Shake up the cup and throw the dice. I make it roll, make me see what it a play. 'Cause if it play the same double six, then I know it's a hand-play game. Oh well, whoa, I may say bar the dice now start. Whoa, 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 yeah.
Don Carlos, and that's Dice Cup. And the other day I was having a chat with somebody on the subject of the Delta 5, and I thought it's been some time since we'd heard any of their things. This is Mind Your Own Business.
Can I have a taste of your ice cream? Can I lick the crumbs from your table? Can I interfere in your crisis? No, mind your own business. No, mind your own business. Can I interfere in your crisis? Ice cream? No, can I lick the crumbs from your table? No, can I interfere in your crisis? No, mind your own business. No, mind your own business. Can you hear those people behind me? Looking at your feelings inside me. Listen to the distance between us. Why don't you mind your own business? Why don't you mind your own business? Listen to the distance behind me. Why don't you mind your feelings inside me? Why don't you mind your own between us? Why don't you mind your own business? Why don't you mind your own business? Can I have a taste of your ice cream? Can I lick the crumbs from your table? Can I interfere in your crisis? No, mind your own business. No, mind your own business. Can you hear those people behind me? Looking at your feelings inside me. Listen to the distance between us. Why don't you mind your own business? Why don't you mind your own business? Business, 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 business. Mind your own business.
Party.
Well, the time is now, and the place is here. You're not ready till you sweaty down to your underwear. Not saying it as a joke, just a bit of advice. Cause when I rap, you're bound to move because I'm just that nice. So dig this, when I'm rapping, people start clapping. Get on the dance floor, things are starting to happen. I don't know what it is that I'm just trying to get. Did you come to party or to start some mess now? To me, dancing is a hell of a task. Now I've got a question, do you mind if I ask? Now that makes no difference if the people start jumping on solid ground, cause the music is pumping. So if you're there, please be ready to rock. Yes, the music is on, just like popcorn, so don't hold back, because the party is packed, and this beat is dope. Now did you get that, Jack? So get with it, don't quit it. You hear my rhyme, forget it. You're trying to be me, Spoonie G, just forget it, cause I'm the only one that could do it this way. When you see me at a party, you will always say, hey, that's Spoonie G. And your girl say, not Holly. So what's your name, baby? Did you come here to party? Did you come 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 to party? Let's break it down. Party. Did you come to the party? Did you come to the party? Did you? Here we go, now dance. You're gonna sweat. But be prepared because we know we're finished yet. I'm rocking and I'm rolling. The mic is in my hand and I'm the one that's controlling. Are you pumped? You better quit. And let me rap a little bit, cause this is a new hit that I'm making. And other records I'm breaking, so swinging, I'm rapping, I'm singing. People on the outside just hanging around for what? To hear the Spoonie G sound, to move, to have fun, to get on down, cause I'm serious. I don't have no time for playing, so listen to my music as well as what I'm saying. The music is important, the words are two together to make you do what you came to. You want to finger pop? Well, go ahead, I won't stop you. Put some music and rap and then rock you. But that's what y'all came here for. Well, if you didn't, there's the door. Well, this beat is dope. This beat is dope. This beat is dope. This beat is dope. And that's the needle.
The self-styled godfather of rap, Spoonie G, from the LP on Tough City Records, Did You Come to Party? Before that, and another good segue, I felt, the Delta 5 and Mind Your Own Business. And to end tonight's programme, one that Andy would approve of, I don't doubt, from the LP When They Let the Hammer Down, the Delmore Brothers and Wayne Rainey, and Down Home Boogie.
There's an old fiddle lying under the bed, the best old fiddle that I ever have played. There's an old banjo hanging on the wall. I'm going back on the flame this fall. I play the down home boogie with my hometown band. I get the boys together, they like the boogie brand. buggy brand. With my hometown band, I get the boys together, they like the buggy brand.
From 1947, the Delmore Brothers and Wayne Rainey, Down Home Boogie, ending tonight's programme. I'll see one or two of you in Hull on Saturday night, by the way. Andy Kershaw and his programme tomorrow night has the Primevals and Ted Hawkins in session. On Monday, I'm back with the Wolfhounds and Bolt Thrower. Coming up shortly, the Midnight News Summary. Thanks very much for listening. Good night.
Radio 2.
The news at midnight. This is Paul Layton. The two doctors at the centre of the Cleveland child abuse controversy are being moved to different jobs. The Prime Minister has offered to see leaders at the Royal College of Nursing to discuss conditions in the health service, but leaders of the other unions involved are angry that she won't see them.
From God's heaven, a star's light